Ukraine?
Sure. Ukraine, go ahead.
Are you worried about the recent separatist attacks in the southeast of Ukraine? Have there been any discussions with the Russians about this? What are you planning to do?
Well, overnight, for those of you who haven't been following us as closely, there were reports of additional columns of Russian tanks, multiple rocket launchers, and armored vehicles pushing towards communities in southeastern Ukraine, as Brad mentioned. We've also seen reports of separatists shelling residential areas in a coastal town between the border and Mariupol, and we have seen reports of heavy fighting and shelling near the city and airport in Donetsk. These incursions indicate a Russian-directed counteroffensive is likely underway in Donetsk and Luhansk. Clearly, that is of deep concern to us. I'll also note that we are, and I'm not sure many of you have seen this, but we're also concerned by the Russian government's unwillingness to tell the truth, even as its soldiers are found 30 miles inside Ukraine. Russia is sending its young men into Ukraine, but are not telling them where they're going or telling their parents what they're doing. We're also note reports of wounded Russian soldiers in a St. Petersburg hospital, and that other Russian soldiers are returning home to Russia for burial. These are not steps that certainly you take when you are operating in a transparent manner.
Just one quick thing. Did you say that these reports or these incursions indicate that a Russian-directed counteroffensive is likely underway in Donetsk and Luhansk?
I did.
You can't. Why not just say it's underway rather than likely?
I decided to say likely.
But what? But why? I mean, it likely implies to me some uncertainty because there's a possibility that it's not.
There are a range of reports. I wouldn't be saying it, Arshad, if we didn't think that if we weren't as concerned as my comments indicate.
And then to go to Brad's question, what are you going to do about this? I mean, you basically have Russia invading. I mean, incursions is your word, a neighboring country, directing, you believe, likely a counteroffensive in at least two towns. What are you going to do about this besides condemn it?
Well, we've continued to have a range of tools at our disposal. I don't have anything to predict for you at this point in time. We remain engaged with our European partners and others about appropriate steps that can be taken. Certainly, I expect this to be a topic of discussion next week when the President and the Secretary are at NATO. But beyond that, I don't have any predictions for you.
The main tools that you've used so far, other than rhetorical ones, have been economic sanctions. Are those the tools that you're alluding to, or are those among those at your disposal?
That's correct, and as you know, we've also provided a wide range of non-lethal assistance, as have other countries, to Ukraine. We've also received a range of requests from them, which we will continue to consider.
And any change in your policy of not providing lethal assistance to Ukraine?
I don't have any change for you.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just have there been any discussions between U.S. and
Sorry,
Russian
that was another one of your
officials?
question. The Secretary has not spoken with Foreign Minister Lavrov today. Obviously, we have a range of individuals who are in touch with their Russian counterparts. I can check and see if there's anything more to read out for you.
And then, likewise, any discussions with senior Ukrainian officials today?
I am certain we've been in touch with them through our ambassadors, and our ambassador on the ground, Ambassador Pyatt, and others. But why don't we check and see if we can get something more substantive
And then
for
just
you.
more broadly strategic, do you see Russia attempting to link the southeast of the country? It stands right in the way between the Russian mainland, the main part of Russia, and then the newest part of Russia in their eyes, which is Crimea. Do you think they're trying to create a southeastern channel to connect?
Well, that is
territories?
certainly the accurate version of the geography there. It is hard for us to ascribe what the motivation is, but certainly we're closely watching this incursion and any steps they're taking in southeastern Ukraine, whether it's next to Crimea or not. But I don't have any particular analysis at this point in time.
If this was if this likely counteroffensive is underway, or likely underway, how much time do you have before Russia wins, essentially? Is there anything you can do in the next several days? Talking about it at NATO next week might be too late if they essentially start carving out
Well, to be clear,
territory.
we're not holding on talking about this with our counterparts and with the Ukrainians and others between now and NATO. I just
Right.
wanted to reference that that is coming up next week. There are a range of tools at our disposal. There are a range of steps we could take, but I just don't want to make a prediction of that at this
But
point in
we're
time.
still talking about the same range of tools that existed when Russia conquered Crimea, right?
The range of tools has not changed. Obviously, we've ramped up sanctions. We've also increased our assistance. So, as have our European counterparts.
Yeah, would you agree with the, I think Russia had the question that there is actually a Russian invasion of Ukraine?
I think I'm going to leave it as I said it, which is,
Well, is it an invasion? I mean, are we seeing like brigades or divisions crossing the border into
I don't have
Ukraine?
any other details to read out for you at this point in time,
Okay.
Said. If that changes, obviously, we venture to make information available as we can make it available.
Okay, and you also said that there are Russian soldiers in St. Petersburg and other places wounded in battle apparently in eastern Ukraine and so on. Do you verify this independently or do you rely on the Ukrainians?
There are a range of reports that I referenced. We have a range of ways for acquiring information. I'm just not going to go into more details.
Turkey?
Do we have any more on Ukraine? Okay, go ahead, Turkey.